Welcome to the third day of our second week of our lunchtime lockdown look-ins. We're working our way through the Old Testament. We looked at the people of God, the Hebrew people in the book of Exodus, how they were isolated in order to bring about salvation. And during that time, they looked to the blood. Yesterday, we thought about the character of Ruth and how she was isolated from her people, the people of Moab. And today we're going to be thinking about an Old Testament prophet who was isolated as we continue on in our isolation meditations. This is 1 Kings 18, verse 20. Ahab sent all the people of Israel and gathered the prophets together at Mount Carmel. And Elijah came near to all the people and said, "How long will you go limping between two different opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him." And the people did not answer him a word. Then Elijah said to the people, "I, even I only, am left a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let 2 bulls be given to us, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, and cut it into pieces, and lay it on the wood, but put no fire to it. I'll prepare the other bull, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire to it. And you call upon the name of your God, and I will call upon the name of the Lord, and the God who answers by fire, he is God." So here we have a great contest between Elijah and not only the 450 prophets of Baal, but also the 400 prophets of Asherah. 850 people against one. This is real isolation. One man against 850 and the king and all of the spectators. And during Elijah's time of isolation, the only one, Elijah says, set up two different altars, both exactly the same. I'll call on my God, you call on yours, and we'll see who answers. And the prophets of Baal and Asherah, they call upon their gods all day long. And Elijah says, "Where is your God? Is he sleeping? Where is your God? Is he taking a break?" All day, all night, they dance, they make music, they sacrifice. No answer. Elijah calls upon his God. And the Bible tells us that fire comes from heaven. And not only does the fire burn the offering, but it licks up the water, it licks up the stones, it completely destroys the altar. There's absolutely no competition. God has proven that he is God. And actually, this time of isolation, this prophet that we read of, he stood in isolation. He stood in isolation. This prophet who exposes error, he explains truth, expects blessing, and he gets it. The prophet Elijah is a real blessing during a time of isolation. We read of him beside the drying brook. We read of him before the depleted barrel. We read of him beside a dying boy. As he is alone, the ravens feed him. But I want to look today at this story of how he is isolated in his stand for truth. And maybe as we think during this time of isolation about all the things that's happening in our world and all the moral issues, maybe you feel like you're isolated. Doubly isolated at this time. Isolated whenever things are normal because of your stand on marriage and on abortion and on moral issues of our country. And maybe now you're even more isolated. But what do we see here? We see that Elijah trusts in God. And there is great blessing. And God proves that he is God. Elijah's name actually means, "My God is God," or "My God is the Lord." And that is true. How long will you go limping between 2 opinions? Elijah says. Maybe this is a time when you realize that you are limping between 2 opinions. Ahab, the prophets, all Israel were in no doubt this day. As Elijah stands forward in isolation, there are no doubt that God is God, that God is real. Maybe this time of isolation is a time for you to realize that God is real, God is true, God is God. Or maybe it's a time when you realize that you need to be more isolated, It's okay to be isolated when it comes to proclaiming the truth of God's word. Maybe you are the only person in your workplace, the only person in your school. Elijah was blessed for it. Isolation can sometimes bring about a real standing up for the true and great God. Isolation meditation number 3 of week 2. We see Elijah. We can learn much from him.